Today we're going to do 4.4 student notes. We'll specifically talk about cylinders and cones. Let's start by looking at our cylinder. There are two pieces of information that you'll need for your surface area of a cylinder. The first thing you need to know is the height, h. The height of your cylinder, which is between the bases. So let me highlight that in red. So from the top to the bottom, that height is your h. The other piece of information that you need for your cylinder is your radius. So in your base, from the middle of your cylinder to the outmost of your circle, this is going to be called your R, your radius. Okay, what about the cone? What do we need to find the surface area of a cone? Well, you need three pieces of information. It's there kind of outlined for you. You need the height, okay? So we can see the height in right there in H. You need the radius. We see it right there in R, from the middle to the outmost of your circle. That's your R, your radius. And you're also going to need something else, which is that side length, which will represent S. All right, let's go down here and talk about what are the formulas for those, okay? So we know that in our cylinder, you need your radius. So I'm going to label that. Make sure you're labeling as I'm going as well. So that's your R. We know that the height right here from the top to the bottom, that's your H. But sometimes instead of them giving you your radius, they'll give you diameter, which is from one end to the other end. Oop, and I wasn't writing, but let me keep going. So for your cylinder, sometimes they'll give you radius if you're lucky. But if you're unlucky, they'll give you diameter, which is from one end to the other end of your circle. And I'm going to label that as D for diameter. Okay, so far we've talked about D, which is diameter. R, which means your radius. And your H, which represents height. All right. If you're given the diameter for any reason, that just means that it's double the radius, okay? So if you need to get the R, the radius, when they give you the diameter, all you need to do is grab the diameter and divide it by 2. Okay, once we get to a problem, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so just make sure you write down your formulas. For this cylinder, if I want to find the lateral area, which is the area of a 3D figure, which is not including the bases, so your LA, your formula is 2 pi. Okay, so that, like, it looks like an N, but it's not really an N, it's a pi. Okay, so 2 pi R H. What is happening here is that 2 pi R and H are all multiplying. Okay, so they're right next to each other, which means they're multiplying. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that part. So for your lateral area, you'll do 2 times pi times R times H. For your total surface area, so SA, your formula is going to be not just the lateral area, but it's also going to be another part that's being added to that. So it's going to be 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. Okay, so 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. That is your surface area. Ok, tenemos nuestras fórmulas para un cilindro. Dos piezas muy importantes que necesitas para sacar tu fórmula es el radio, que representa R, y H, que es la altura. Okay. Ahí les escribí las dos fórmulas. La última parte, la área total de la superficie es 2 pi RH más 2 pi R cuadrado. Lo que está pasando aquí es que 2 pi RH están multiplicando todas esas partes, ¿ok? Y se va a agregar con la otra parte que se está multiplicando, 2 pi RH, R cuadrado, todo eso está multiplicando, ¿ok? Y cuando hagamos ejemplos van a ver más o menos cómo ponerlo en la calculadora. So let's look at the cone. The cone, I'll label some things. So my height from the top to the bottom is my H. Okay, so from the top to the bottom, this is my H. My R is within that circle, from the middle to the outmost. That's what your R is. Right? And your S, your side length, is S right there on the side. Okay, so we haven't talked about what S is, but let's put it right there in our little definition table. Side length. That's what S is talking about. All right, something that I'm going to write right here on the side, just so that you can have, is that in the calculator, if you want to get your pi in your calculator, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to hit second, so that button that says second, and you're gonna hit the caret button. And when you see me do an example, you'll see me kind of doing that movement. So second, and then I hit my caret button. It looks like an arrow that's pointing up, okay? For a for a cone, let's put in our formulas here. So for lateral area of your cone, you're going to multiply pi with R and with S. You're multiplying all of these three things together. To get the total surface area of your cone here, you're going to take the lateral, which is pi RS, and you're going to add it with pi R squared, okay? So please notice that the formulas for lateral area and surface area of a cylinder are different than the ones we're going to use for a cone. The ones that have 2's are going to be the ones we use for cylinder, and the ones that don't have that 2 at the beginning, we're using for a cone. That's the way that I kind of put it in my brain, okay? All right, let's go to the back. Let's do some examples here for this cylinder and cones. So for example 1, they give us a cylinder, and they're saying find the lateral area and the total surface area. My radius is something that I need, remember. So I want to figure out what radius is, because it's a piece of information very delicate that I need. And then I also need to know what the height is. The height is very telling. The height is from the top to the bottom, and I can see it clearly from the top to the bottom. This is your 6 right there. Okay, so I'm going to write for H, it's 6. The 6 inches is representing the whole diameter. Okay, that's why I talked about diameter earlier. So your diameter is 6 inches, but I don't want diameter, I want the radius. Half of whatever that diameter is what your radius represents. So R equals, well, if I need to find R, I have to graph 6 and then divide it by 2, and that's going to give me 3. So my radius is 3. Okay, so this is what I did to get the r part. R is the same thing as grabbing the diameter and dividing it by 2 to get 3. So R is 3. Ok, so yo necesito saber qué es R, el radio, y la H, la altura, para hacer mis fórmulas, mi lateral y mi superficie total. Yo veo claramente que la altura es 6 pulgadas, 6 inches. Lo que no está muy claro es qué es el radio, ¿ok? Pero está en la base, que es el círculo. Lo que me dieron ahí fue mi diámetro, que es 6 pulgadas. No me importa saber el diámetro, yo quiero saber el radio. Si les dan el diámetro, lo que van a hacer es dividir el diámetro por 2 y eso les va a dar el radio. ¿Ok? So el radio es 3, es la mitad de 6. Ok, con estas dos informaciones, el radio, la altura, yo puedo sacar mis fórmulas. So voy a empezar con la lateral. Let's start with the lateral area. So remember, the formula is 2 pi r h. That's your formula. I'm going to do something that's going to help me kind of put this better in my calculator. I'm going to put parentheses within each part so that it helps me distinguish all of that I need, okay? So it helps me distinguish what I need to put in where. So for my lateral area, I know that 2 is there, pi is always there. What's going to be changing is r and your h. I know r is 3, so I'm going to plug it in. I know h is 6, so I'm going to plug it in. All right. Sometimes I will ask you to leave things in terms of pi, or sometimes I won't. Today, for all of the examples that we're going to do, we're going to leave everything in terms of pi. Okay, what does that mean? That I'm not going to put in my pi in my calculator, okay? I think that's the easiest thing to do. Instead of putting it in, I'm just going to exclude it, and then at the end when I write my final answer, I'll just put the symbol for pi back in, okay? So just ignore pi for now, that I'm not gonna put it in the calculator, but I'm gonna put the rest of the things, okay? So let me pull up my calculator. Okay, so I have my calculator right here. I'm gonna type in everything except the pi, okay? So the pi is not gonna go in the calculator, okay? So I'm gonna start with 2, and I'm putting my parentheses as well. I'm not putting pi, but I'm gonna put the 3. I'm gonna put the 6 in next, okay? So look at what I have. I'm not putting the pi. Do not put the pi. If I say leave in terms of pi, please do not put the pi. It's going to mess up your answer. Enter. And I get 36. So my lateral area is 36. And now I put my pi back. Pi. And remember, I need my units. This is in inches, so this is inches squared. This is my first answer. Ok, so yo estoy dejando todo en términos pi. ¿Qué quiere decir eso? Cuando yo pongo mi respuesta o mis números en mi calculadora, no voy a incluir pi. Pi lo voy a excluir hasta el último. Cuando yo ya sepa mi respuesta, lo que me dé mi calculadora, voy a agregar ese pi al último. Eso fue lo que hice. Yo puse 2 por 3 por 6 en mi calculadora. Puse las paréntesis que le está diciendo la calculadora multiplica, ok, so 2 está multiplicando por 3 y multiplicando por 6 y te dio 36, so yo puse 36 y al último fue donde agregué el pi. Lo había excluido, ahora lo tengo que volver a poner en mi respuesta, pi, y esto está en inches, en pulgadas cuadradas, porque es área, ok, so incluyanme sus unidades también. Yo en su respuesta, si les digo déjenmelo en términos pi, yo tengo que ver ese pi en la respuesta. No se les olvide, son puntos que les voy a quitar si no lo están poniendo, ¿ok? So, yo ahí donde veo LA voy a poner mi respuesta. Okay, so I didn't put pi in my calculator, but I included it at the end. Very important. Let's do the last part. Surface area, which is the total surface area, SA. I know my formula says 2 pi RH, so I'm just going to put my parentheses right off the bat so I can kind of write this the best that I can. 2 pi r squared. Surface area equals, well, I'm going to start plugging some things in, all right? But I do know that this first part that I have here, this first part is coming from the lateral, right? You saw that with the prism's surface area. So I know it's 36, so I'm going to write 36 pi. And then I know it's plus. This is where I'm going to start replacing some things. I do not know what R is right now, but I do know it says 3, so I'll plug it in. Okay, I'm gonna put this whole thing in my calculator. All I'm gonna do is exclude the pi's, okay? Everything else is gonna go into the calculator. Voy a poner eso en mi calculadora, lo que puse en mi ay, quiero, ok, ahí está. Quiero hacerla más chiquita y no podía. Ok, I'm gonna put everything except the pi's. Voy a poner todo en mi calculadora excepto los pi's. So, empiezo con 36. Los pi no los pongo todavía. Más. Voy a poner mis paréntesis. 2 paréntesis. El pi no lo pongo. Y luego voy a poner paréntesis 3 paréntesis y lo voy a cuadrar. Ok, so miren cómo quedó. Así se tiene que ver. Lo único que nos están poniendo van a excluir son los pi's. Ok, vamos a poner enter para que me dé mi respuesta. Let's put our put enter for our. Ooh, what did I do? I did something wrong. I think I clicked something extra that I shouldn't. Oops. So let me try again. It's hard when I have this small little calculator. So just give me 1 second and I'll put everything in where it belongs. Now I have it. It's 54. Okay, so my surface area is 54. Now is where I'm going to put back the pi. And then this is inches squared. So this is 54 pi inches squared. And we have the 2 parts that we needed. Ok. So, yo ejemplo 1 lo dejé en términos pi, que lo único que dice es exclúyelo en la calculadora, pero vuélvelo a poner en la respuesta final, ¿ok? So, todo lo que se trata aquí es de estar reemplazando el R y la H, la estás reemplazando en la fórmula, ¿ok? Y cuando se llegue tiempo de poner las partes en la calculadora, no pongan el pi, por favor. Ok. El último ejemplo 2, esto es un cono. So let's do example 2. This is a cone problem. It's telling you if the radius of the cone is 12 feet. So they already told me what R is. R is 12. They were being nice in this problem. They told me that the side length is 20 feet. So S is 20 feet. You have to read what it's saying so that you can get your right answers. All right, so I am going to put 12 here for my radius. My side length is 20. All right, my formula for lateral area, it's pi multiplied by R multiplied by S. And so all I need to replace here is R and S. So R is 12. S is 20. Make sure you replace them. I need to get my answer. Again, I'm going to leave this in terms of pi. And I will specifically tell you in your test, leave in terms of pi there in the problem. Here I didn't write it down, but I'm telling you as I'm going that we're going to leave them in terms of pi. Okay, so let's go to our calculator and start putting some things in here. Clear. Okay, so again, don't put pi, but put 12 and put 20. So 12 and 20 are technically just multiplying. So watch how it looks. 12 times 20, enter to get my answer, and it's 240. So this is 240, and then I'll put pi back where it needs to be. I'm trying to move this out of the way. What is going on? Okay, never mind. I'm just gonna keep writing feet squared. All right, make sure you put your units where they belong. 240 feet, and I forgot my pi. Don't do what I did. Don't forget your pi. Make sure you write it down, and then feet squared. So this is your first answer. Okay, so 12 y 20 multiplicaron básicamente. No puse el pi en mi calculadora. Lo excluí porque estoy dejándolo en términos pi. Yo en su examen, en su quiz y en el quiz review, les voy a decir ahí específicamente en el problema, déjalo en terms of pi, déjalo en términos pi, ¿ok? No puse el pi en mi calculadora, pero lo tengo que poner cuando ya tenga yo mi respuesta. So 240 pi, pongan sus unidades y cuádrenlas. So pies es lo que estamos lidiando con ejemplo 2. So 240 pi, feet squared, pies cuadrados. Ok, nos falta la última parte que es el surface area total, SA, pi RS más pi R cuadrado. All right, so we write down our formula. The first part of your formula, this part, I already know what it is. It's right there. It's your lateral. So your surface area equals 240 pi plus pi. R is 12. That's all I need for this part. I don't need the side length right now, just R, and it's squaring. Okay, let's put this in our calculator. So I'm going to put 240 plus 12 squared. So look at how it looks. 240 plus 12 squared. Again, don't put the pi's because we're leaving it in terms of pi, right? Enter. And I get 384. So surface area equals 384 pi. Put your units, feet squared. So it's 384 feet squared. Oh, and again, don't forget the pi. Make sure you put your pi in there. Ok, por favor no se les olvide poner el pi con el 384. A mí casi se me olvidaba. Ok, 384 pi, las unidades cuadradas. Ok, por favor siempre pongan sus unidades. Lo que pasó el año pasado fue que o tenían unidades, pero se les olvidaba incluir el pi al último, o las unidades no estaban por ningún lado. Y esos son puntos que les tengo que quitar si no las veo. So, por favor, pongan mucha atención que incluyen el pie al último, debe de estar en las respuestas para la surface area si no están haciendo algo incorrectamente, ¿ok? Otra vez, yo les voy a decir cuando yo quiera que dejen las partes, los ejemplos en términos pie, ¿ok? Ahí les voy a escribir. No se los escribí en las notas, pero mientras iba haciendo los problemas les iba diciendo que los vamos a dejar en términos pie. Ok, so quiero que practiquen en su tarea. Tienen, creo que son 3 problemas que hacer, ¿ok? Por favor, pónganse a trabajar en eso. Tienen el resto del tiempo para terminar. Buena suerte. Okay, I want you to start your homework. It's in your packet. I think it's 3 problems that you need to do. Please get started and good luck, okay?